Back to the Future. Could it actually happen with a real time machine?
They found his workshop empty. The air smelled like ozone and burnt rubber, but Mike Marcum was nowhere to be found.
I was devastated. I thought if I could build a time machine that I could go back and see him again and tell him what was going to happen, maybe save his life.
He had spent years obsessing over a machine that could bend reality. He told his friends he was going to try something dangerous. He told a radio audience he was going to jump into the future. But when he finally pushed the button, he did not go forward. He went sideways. Decades later, he returned with a story that proves some doors should never be opened. The man who walked through time and saw the end. Mike Marcum never fit the picture of an ordinary kid. Other children spent their afternoons running through yards, playing ball, or riding bicycles through the quiet neighborhoods of Missouri. Mike felt no interest in any of that. He wandered through junkyards instead and searched for broken televisions, cracked radios, rusted coils, and anything else that most people threw away without a second thought. These objects made him feel alive. He carried them home with excitement because he believed there was something hidden in them that other people were unable to see. His bedroom slowly filled with wires, metal scraps, and small glowing gadgets. The room looked more like a cluttered workshop than a space meant for a child. But the most unusual part was not just the mess. It was the way Mike stared at every piece with an expression of complete curiosity and determination. To him, electricity was not just power. It was a puzzle waiting to be solved. What most people don't realize is that this innocent hobby turned into a dangerous obsession as he got older. He wanted to understand things that everyone else ignored. He had no real books or proper teachers or quality tools. He only had his own curiosity and a willingness to take risks that frightened the people around him. When Mike entered his 20s, his curiosity turned into a powerful obsession with electricity. He wanted to understand the nature of electrical energy because it felt like a living thing to him. His friends began calling him the Madman. They said it with humor, yet many of them felt uneasy because they did not understand the strange projects he kept building. His first significant creation was a simple device known as a Jacob's ladder. Mike built it inside a friend's shed. He worked on it for days until he believed it was ready. When he added a small laser to help steady the electrical arc and power the entire setup with salvage transformers, something completely unexpected happened. Basically, the laws of physics decided to take a break. Objects that he dropped between the metal rods disappeared for a brief moment. They reappeared almost instantly, yet the sight left him shaken. The event was not dramatic in any outward way. However, the shock of watching something vanish for even a second filled him with fear and excitement at the same time. Mike believed he had uncovered something important, and he could not stop thinking about it. The incident pushed him to call a late-night radio show. His voice trembled when he explained what he had seen. The listeners reacted with intense interest. Some urged him to continue the experiment because they believed he had discovered something valuable. Others warned him to stop because they believed the machine was dangerous. Their attention increased his confidence, yet it also pushed him toward reckless decisions. This is where the story takes a sharp turn into illegal territory. Mike soon began using larger transformers. Some came from legal sources. Others did not. One night, he tried to push the machine beyond its limits after taking equipment from a local power yard. He needed pure, raw power, more than a household outlet could ever provide. His actions caused a blackout across several parts of rural Missouri. The authorities caught him, and he spent 60 days in jail. Even in confinement, he continued to draw diagrams. He kept building the idea in his mind because he believed he was close to proving something extraordinary. When Mike returned home, he refused to slow down. His experiments grew larger and louder. They also became more mysterious in ways that terrified the few people who still visited him. The machine changed shape many times because he kept adjusting every part. As the device evolved, so did the mystery surrounding it, leading to a moment when things took a darker, far more dangerous turn. The machine that broke the world. According to sources, Mike continued rebuilding the device with far more care and determination than anyone around him expected. Over time, he bought a cheap camera because he wanted a complete record of every step of his progress. Mike purchased only second-hand transformers because he feared that buying new parts would draw attention from authorities who might still be watching him. His garage slowly changed from a simple workspace into a crowded and chaotic maze of tangled wires, humming coils, blinking lights, and thick extension cords that crossed the floor in every direction. According to friends who visited him at the time, the place carried a tense atmosphere that made them feel as if they were standing inside something that should not exist. It was like the air itself was heavy with static. Night after night, Mike dropped small screws and bolts into the glowing arcs produced by his Jacob's ladder. He waited with an anxious focus for something strange to happen again. He had once described the earlier event as a quick moment that seemed to defy everything he understood, and he believed that a careful repeat of that moment would prove that his work was more than a risky electrical project. As widely reported by local media, he became convinced that his device had the potential to change the nature of ordinary physical movement. Many people dismissed this idea as the dream of an unstable inventor, yet those who knew him personally said that the look in his eyes made them hesitate before criticizing him. Eventually, something did happen. It was far more dramatic than the brief vanishing of a screw. Here is the deal. Mike managed to create a vortex in his own garage. According to Mike, a swirling field of energy formed above the center of the machine. He said it shimmered like waves of heat rising from a sunlit road, and he claimed the air bent around it in a way that felt completely unnatural. He described the sound in the room as a soft but unsettling hum that seemed to vibrate inside his ribs. He told others that it no longer looked like simple electricity. He believed he was staring at a doorway that opened into something he could not fully explain. He was both terrified and thrilled because he felt he had just stepped into territory that few people ever reached. Driven by excitement that he struggled to control, Mike tossed small objects into the field. Each object vanished for a moment, and then reappeared a short distance away. What he saw next convinced him that he wasn't just moving things across the room. According to his account, this convinced him that the machine was not just shifting items from one spot to another. Mike believed it was moving them through time, even if the shift was only a matter of seconds. He no longer viewed it as an experiment. He saw it as a prototype that could eventually become something much larger and far more powerful. No one knows if his interpretation was correct, yet his confidence grew with each test. This new phase of testing pushed Mike deeper into obsession. According to people who observed him, he became quieter, more withdrawn, and far less concerned about the risks that surrounded him. He believed he was standing at the edge of a breakthrough that could change the world. But that obsession started to eat away at his sanity. Some nights he barely slept because he felt a fear that the opportunity would slip away from him if he stopped for even a short time. His friends noticed the way his hand shook from exhaustion and the way his voice lost its usual warmth. They said they did not know how to help him because he refused to slow down. Every successful test strengthened his belief that the machine was ready for greater challenges. According to some accounts, by late 1996, Mike reached out once again to the late-night radio show that had first turned him into a small curiosity among listeners. People who heard the call later said he no longer sounded like the confident young inventor who once joked about making screws disappear. His voice shook in a way that unsettled the host. He spoke slowly and cautiously. It sounded as if he feared the very device he had spent years building. Every word carried the weight of someone who had seen something he did not know how to explain. Mike told the host that the machine no longer behaved like the version he had once trusted. The energy field pulsed in irregular waves that made him feel as if it were reacting to him. He said it moved in a way that reminded him of something alive, even though he knew that description made him sound unstable. Mike explained that objects did not cleanly vanish and return anymore. They flickered in and out of sight as if they were caught between two different moments. Some items appeared stretched or twisted for a second before snapping back into shape. Everyone is obsessed with the idea of time travel, but no one talks about the side effects. He said he did not know if he had damaged the device or if the machine was entering a stage he had not prepared for. Listeners reacted with strong emotions. Some pleaded with him to shut everything down before he harmed himself. Others encouraged him to continue because they believed he was close to proving something extraordinary. Mike said he needed only one thing. He needed more power. He believed that a stronger field would stabilize the strange pulses and reveal what the machine was truly doing. He insisted that he would conduct one final test. Before ending the call, he promised to return in March of 1997 with an update that would clarify everything. That update never came. The silence that followed was deafening. Weeks passed with no contact. Letters sent to Mike's home came back unopened. Friends said they had not seen him in days. According to neighbors, the house remained dark at night, even though Mike rarely left his work for long. People started wondering if he had become overwhelmed by the pressure he had placed on himself. Then one night, neighbors noticed a sharp smell of burning wires drifting through the area. They looked outside and saw flames rising from Mike's small home. Firefighters arrived quickly, but the garage was already destroyed. The walls were black. Melted copper hung from the ceiling in thin strands. In the center of the concrete floor, a scorched ring marked a violent moment that no one could fully explain. It looked as if something powerful had exploded or vanished all at once. The most disturbing part of the scene was what they didn't find. There was no body. Mike was gone. He was not injured. He was not burned. He was simply gone. Investigators sifted through the debris and found only one surviving piece of paper. The handwriting looked shaky and uneven, which suggested Mike had written it while under extreme stress. The message said, "It is not about time. It is about how you see things." Officials later claimed the fire was caused by an electrical overload. Many people accepted the explanation at first, but public doubt grew quickly. Some believed that the truth had been simplified to avoid panic. Others believed that authorities stayed quiet because they did not want to draw attention to the strange condition of Mike's garage. Online forums spread countless theories. Some believed Mike had been eliminated by the machine after pushing it past a limit that no one understood. Others insisted that he had succeeded, and his time machine had worked. The body on the beach. While everyone was looking for Mike in the present, a clue surfaced from the distant past. An old news report described a man's body washing up on a California beach in 1930. Newspapers from that era claimed the man wore clothing that did not match the time period. They also stated that he carried a small metallic device with several buttons that investigators could not identify. Police placed the object into evidence and classified the case as unexplained. No one reached a conclusion, and the case was eventually forgotten. When early internet users came across this old report, comparisons started immediately. People looked at the limited photographs from the 1930 case and compared them to the known images of Mike. Some believed the facial features looked similar. Others suggested that the unusual device found on the body might have been related to the equipment Mike built in his garage. The resemblance was creepy. No one could prove the connection. Yet the speculation grew quickly. Many people asked the same question. Had Mike been thrown backward in time instead of forward? The theory gained new momentum in 2006 when a college professor received a strange email. The message contained a set of hand-drawn blueprints labeled Vortex Stabilization Frame Generation 3. The email included no explanation at all. It had no sender information except for the name Mike. Investigators later traced the email to a public library computer in Hawaii, but there was nothing else to identify the sender. According to people familiar with the investigation, the lack of answers only strengthened the belief that someone was trying to continue Mike's work from a place or time that could not be confirmed. It sounds impossible, but the breadcrumbs kept appearing. No one knew if this was true, yet the idea stayed alive because every piece of unexplained information seemed to point in that direction. The internet loves a mystery, and this one had everything. It had a missing genius, a mysterious death in the past, and cryptic messages in the present. People started digging into old archives, looking for any mention of a man who knew too much about electricity in the 1930s. Some claimed they found records of a mad inventor in California during the Depression era who spoke in slang that hadn't been invented yet. Others said the metal tube found on the body was actually a primitive cell phone. The theories were wild, but they kept the story alive. Then, decades later, the story took a physical form in a dusty attic. In 2022, an old farmhouse in Ohio revealed something that reignited the mystery. Two men, Andrew and Melanie, thought they were simply buying an old farmhouse in rural Ohio. They expected dust, repairs, and perhaps a few forgotten belongings. But what they found instead was far stranger. Hidden beneath decades of clutter in the attic, they discovered a locked wooden box. The box bore the faded name M. Marcum and a warning, "Do not open until the right time." Inside the box were journals sealed in plastic, a bundle of old circuit boards, and a Polaroid photograph showing a young man standing beside a circular metal frame covered in cables. On the back were the words June 21st, 2021. It did work, but not the way I thought it would. That date didn't make any sense, and that is what scared them. That night, Andrew searched the name Mike Marcum and found out it was the same inventor who had vanished decades ago during a reported time experiment. The overlaps between the old reports and the items in the box were striking. The journals listed the farmhouse address long before Andrew and Melanie purchased the property, and one entry even mentioned the exact date of their purchase. Some have suggested this implies someone or something had anticipated their arrival. Others argue it could be coincidence, though many observers say the timing is hard to ignore. It was as if the box had been waiting for them specifically. The circuit boards looked like the ones Mike had used in his garage, but they were aged, as if they had been sitting there for 50 years. Just when they thought it couldn't get stranger, the phone rang. 2 weeks later, Andrew and Melanie received a phone call from a raspy, exhausted voice claiming to be Mike Marcum. He said that he had sent the box to the attic nearly 20 years earlier. He told them he wanted to meet in person and explain everything. When he arrived, he looked nothing like the young man in the Polaroid. Observers described him as older, worn, and physically and emotionally exhausted. He carried only a small bag and a thin folder. Many who have studied the case suggest that the time he had spent away might have aged him differently, or perhaps even affected him in ways that are impossible to measure. Others caution that appearances alone cannot tell the full story. But what he revealed changed everything people thought they knew about his time machine. The truth about time displacement. The man sitting at the table wasn't a hero, he was a survivor. During the meeting, Mike sat at the farmhouse table and opened the thin folder he had been carrying for years. He immediately told Andrew and Melanie that it was not proof of a real time machine. There were no blueprints, no schematics, and no record of successful time travel. Instead, the folder held notes he had written during the most unstable period of his life. The notes described something he believed was far more disturbing than physical time travel. Although he admitted that his own memory of the events was still incomplete, Mike insisted he never traveled through time. He said the machine did not bend reality or move him into another year. According to him, the magnetic field produced by his Jacob's ladder had a different effect. Basically, he didn't move through time. He got unhooked from it. It damaged his brain's internal sense of time. He said that people normally experience time in a steady, shared rhythm. When the field surged, he believed his personal rhythm broke. In his words, everyone stays connected to the same flow of time. I stopped matching it. Some listeners thought he was using metaphorical language. Others believed he was describing a neurological event caused by exposure to an intense electromagnetic field. He described the night of the fire in simple terms. He said he did not vanish or teleport. He remembered a bright flash, intense heat, and then losing consciousness. He believed the machine misfired, overloaded, and created a magnetic surge that knocked him out instantly. When he woke up, the world looked the same, but it felt wrong. When he regained awareness, he was outside, burned, disoriented, and completely confused. The part that frightened him most was what happened next. He said he could not remember how he moved from one place to another. There was no memory of walking, hitchhiking, or speaking to anyone. He simply remembered blacking out in his workshop and then waking up in Oregon. He emphasized that it was still 1999 when he woke up. He did not go forward or backward in time. The world around him had not changed. News, calendars, and the people he met all confirmed the same year. What he could not explain was the missing period between the fire and his arrival in Oregon. This is where the quantum-locked theory comes into play. He believed these missing hours or days were the result of head trauma and memory loss, not time manipulation. He told Andrew and Melanie he likely wandered while confused, but he had no recollection of any part of the journey. When he tried contacting people from his past, he ran into an unexpected problem. Friends did not recognize him. Some said they had not seen him in years. A few insisted they had barely known him at all. Even family members hesitated, unsure whether he was truly who he claimed to be. Mike believed this confusion came from the same magnetic disruption that affected his own mind. He thought the field had interfered with the memory pathways of anyone who had been near the machine during earlier tests, causing their memories of him to fade or break apart. So, here is the kicker. He didn't disappear from the world. He disappeared from people's minds. Mike said he stopped working on the machine once he understood this. He believed every experiment was not altering the world's time, but erasing pieces of his life from the memories of the people around him. Time doesn't disappear, he wrote in his journal. You do. It was a haunting thought. The machine was not a vessel for exploration, it was an isolation chamber. It cut him off from the shared reality that holds human relationships together. He warned Andrew and Melanie that messing with these forces doesn't just break physics, it breaks the connections that make us who we are. The ending of this story is as mysterious as the beginning. The next morning, Mike left the farmhouse voluntarily. He took only his folder. No one saw him again after that night, and the questions surrounding his story never went away. Some believe he is still out there, living off the grid, afraid to interact with electricity for fear of triggering another episode. Others think the man at the farmhouse was an imposter, someone playing a cruel joke on two curious homeowners. But Andrew and Melanie swear by what they saw. They say the look in his eyes was too old, too tired, and too sad to be faked. It was the look of a man who had seen the void and barely made it back. The legend that won't die. Word of Mike's return did not spread widely at first. Andrew and Melanie chose to keep their encounter private. They locked the attic and carefully placed the journals into a secure archive, ensuring that no one would stumble across them by accident. They understood the weight of what they had seen, and they felt that some mysteries were too dangerous or too delicate to share. Still, stories of this kind have a way of slipping into the world, especially when they have been alive in rumors for decades. Slowly, murmurs about Mike's reappearance began to spread through old forums, small online communities, and even newer social media platforms. The internet never forgets, and it never stops guessing. Some people claimed he was alive and deliberately hiding from the world. Others insisted he was unstable, a man unable to fully recover from what he had endured. Still, others believed that he had somehow managed to stabilize the strange effects of his internal clock and was quietly living somewhere under a new identity. And there are some who believe the whole thing, including Andrew and Melanie's story, is just one big hoax. But the details keep aligning in ways that are hard to dismiss. The police reports from the 90s are real. The radio calls are real. The blackout in Missouri really happened. What if the machine actually worked, but not for us? The scariest theory is that Mike Marcum is right. Maybe time isn't a road we travel on, but a signal we are tuned into. And if you mess with the receiver, you don't go to the future, you just lose the signal. You become a ghost in your own life, walking through a world that no longer recognizes you. It is a lonely, terrifying thought, and it stops many would-be inventors from trying to follow in his footsteps. The warnings in the box were clear. Some doors are locked for a reason. We may never know the full truth about Mike Marcum. Did he invent a time machine? Or did he just invent a very complicated way to destroy his own life? The evidence is there, but it is scattered across decades and buried in rumors. The only person who knows for sure is Mike, and he isn't talking. He is out there somewhere, or maybe he is right here, but we just can't see him anymore. The story of the man who tried to conquer time serves as a reminder that the universe has rules, and it doesn't like it when we break them. Did Mike Marcum truly break time, or did he just break his own mind? And if you had the chance to step into that machine, would you push the button? Like and subscribe for more mysteries that keep you up at night.